Nate Marchand, Personal Journal. With Jacob entertaining himself in the mobile studio, I walked out into I still want to call it the bridge because it's too big for a cockpit. Anyway, Jimmy and, to my surprise, Kaguya joined me there. She sat at a console and tapped the touchscreen computer. Jimmy strapped on his helmet and tapped a button to bring up his drone's HUD on the view screen. Thanks to a tip from James, the Thai cop, we'd located the cave where Big Mama and her offspring were hiding near Buang Khan.
Alright, care to share your plan with me?
Jimmy said he was going to send his newest drone model, the P2, I understood that reference, into the cave to lure the monsters out and then have Ricky's drones, which were already waiting outside, bag and tag the big critters and take them back to the island.
Why don't you go in there and do it yourself? True. Nearly getting eaten by Guamule would sour anyone to underground monster hunting.
More importantly, I want him to be as unhurt as possible for our wedding.
Yeah, you don't want to get widowed before the wedding.
You have to be married first to be widowed.
It's a joke.
Oh. I still do not understand human humor.
Don't worry, I'm sure Jimmy will educate you about it. He has to laugh so he doesn't cry.
Jimmy shot me a puzzled look.
Don't worry about it.
Kaguya stared blankly for a second, but then nodded her head and looked back at the computer screen.
Alright, Jimmy, you've got a plan, so do your thing, I guess.
Must be nice having cool stuff to complete the stupid fetch quest your vindictive bosses send you on. I'd be stuck in exile without Jimmy. Godzilla Anyway, Jimmy tapped a few buttons and Ubermogura's dark interior turned to a beautiful Thai landscape, which zipped by as a green streak. I glanced over at Kaguya's computer screen. She was ordering a custom wedding dress. It was gray with black highlights and what appeared to be chain-like studs descending the skirt. I looked away, the pangs of guilt punching the inside of my chest. Why did I feel bad? I wasn't marrying her. I'm not jealous. Envious, yeah, but not like that. Gah! I glanced at the screen again and saw a message notification from someone named May. Before I could think, who's that, the landscape on the main screen vanished as the drone sped through the cave entrance. Jimmy switched on its night vision mode, filling the screen with an eerie green and black world.
Are you sure this is gonna work? Not really.
You could go in there and be a hero like you wanted to in Seoul.
Jimmy snickered.
Oh, that was funny? I must have a better understanding of humor than I thought.
I sat down and hid my clenched fists in my lap behind a console, scrunching my face to catch the venomous words that shot into my mouth like bile. Did they not understand that I needed to accomplish something on this damned trip? But just as my lips would have burst like a dam...
Oh no. Which one is that?
The drone spun around, and the smaller creature, Naga, whatever, appeared on the screen. Jimmy cursed, tapping buttons to make the drone dodge the creature's claw swipe. Drone retaliated with a taser dart, which repulsed the monster. The drone spun to 180 degrees and barreled down the cave. The monster in hot pursuit.
Dang, Jimmy, it's working! If you can lure the little one out, Big Mama won't be far behind.
Jimmy's reply was a smirk and a thumbs up. But as if on cue, a huge clawed hand shot from the darkness and swatted the drone. Its camera was a scrambled mess for a few seconds. When it cleared, the upside-down image of Big Mama's face loomed over it, and her giant foot crushed the drone. We heard metal grind as the screen turned to black. Jimmy cursed, pounding his fist on the console. I hadn't seen him that angry in a long time. Kaguya walked over and patted him on the shoulder.
Send another drone!
Jimmy said he couldn't because he scavenged his drones for parts to keep Ubermogura running. so that was his last one. I suggested Ricky's drones, but Jimmy said they were too big to fly into the cave.
We don't know if or when those big critters will leave that cave. I request help from the EDF mutants, but the board is keeping them busy on the island. Ugh. Now what do we do?
May can help you.
May? You mean the little girl who found Big Mama's egg?
Yes. She is a young woman now and has kept in contact with the creature for several years.
So there was some merit to the alternate ending of the movie. But how do you know she'll help us?
She told me she would. We met on a social network that shares a name with Planet X. It feels like home, but I do not know why. But as I was saying, I asked the denizens of the website for advice on planning the wedding, and May gave me a few suggestions. Then she messaged me privately when she heard we were in Thailand to recapture the creatures. I updated her as your mission progressed. She is not surprised you failed.
Wow. Thanks for the vote of confidence.
Kaguya paused for a second, holding up a pointer finger, and then pointed at me.
That was sarcasm, correct?
Yeah?
Excellent. My understanding of humor has improved. Which means you were disappointed May did not think you could recapture the creatures.
Yes, Kaguya.
She leaned toward Jimmy.
Do not worry, darling. I told her I had the utmost confidence in you. I was surprised you did not succeed.
Jimmy thanked her and kissed her. My disgust reached middle school levels. It took everything in me not to say, "Thanks for ignoring me," but I thought better of that sarcasm test.
What did May say she could do to help?
She says she has a psychic bond with the creatures. They trust her as a friend, so she can ask them to come out of the cave and return to Monster Island.
That's a long swim, and I don't know if the board will trust them to get back, even under supervision by Ricky's drones. An aerial cargo transport? Well, I can't think of anything better.
Very well. I will send her a message about James's plan.
Yeah, you do that.
I fought to smile as I said those words. Kaguya walked over to the console and typed a message. An hour or so later, May arrived at the mouth of the cave. Ricky's drones dropped off a cargo container big enough to house a bus. May said Big Mama and the other creatures were too distrustful of humans and their technology, so we had the drones fly away and kept Ubermoger out of sight. We watched everything via a video feed from one of the drones. May entered the cave alone and came out about 15 minutes later with Big Mama, the juvenile, and an even smaller creature. Apparently the egg finally hatched. May walked them to the cargo container, hugging Big Mama before closing the door. The drones quickly descended, lashed onto the container, and with a little effort, flew off with their precious cargo. A few minutes later...
May says you are welcome. But she says if she hears the creatures are being mistreated, she will personally come to the island to file a complaint and take them back to Thailand.
I'm not surprised. Hopefully she's not a member of Scale. They caused enough trouble on the Gamma site back in the day.
She is not a part of that group, but she is a kaiju rights activist. She plans to petition the Thai government to become their official liaison to Monster Island.
Of course. But anyway, I'll let you two get back to wedding planning.
But Nate...
No, I insist.
I walked to my cabin and closed the door. It was bad enough that I was overlooked during that whole operation, but now... There comes a point where being happy for your friend's successes while hiding your own envy is just too exhausting. End journal entry.
MIFV, Episode 96 Epilogue, Mother May I. Starring Nathan Marchand as MIFV Nate, Rebecca Olivia Hodges as Kaguya, and Jimmy from NASA as himself. Written, directed, produced, and edited by Nathan Marchand. Music tracks included Sneaky Action by David Facilian and Abandoned by God by Ro Taka. Sound effects sourced from freesound.org and created by JP Gant. Our story segments were made possible by the generous MIFV Max members on Patreon, including executive producer Damon Noyes. This is a fan production and no copyright infringement is intended or implied. All characters, video clips, and audio clips belong to their respective copyright holders. MIFV is a Moonlighting Ninjas media production and a proud member of Pod Nation. Thank you for listening. Next time, The Third Wheel.